Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm doing a Lavelle. Can you tell? Lavelle, Ravel. There was another one that rhymed. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Robin. This is our Thursday morning business chat, and we gather together as a team and a community to do some business training on Thursday mornings. We do have an announcement from Connie when she comes on, and we will open it up for her when she gets here. But we get together, and it's so nice to see all of you. Thank you for being here. I love having everyone pop on. So, what we're going to do today, and is there any Connie insight before I jump in?
Not yet.
Okay. You want to send a message to Connie?
Yes.
Okay. Great. We'll send a message to Connie. So, what we're talking about is this book. This is John Maxwell's book, The Power of Five for Network Marketing. And as you know, we've been going through this book. We've gone through the growth, his five things. And Gregory reminded me I have to say what all five are. Okay. Sometimes I don't do that and leave you hanging. And we don't want people hanging. So the first one we did was growth. We talked, and he's got that as number one. The most important thing to be successful in this business is growth. And before I jump into the five, and I will get back to the five, I just want to share where this book came from. John Maxwell was our speaker at our international conference several years ago, and what happened to him is, he's probably the top leadership author in the world right now. I think someone said yesterday he's written over 90 books. He writes every single day, no matter what the day is. Christmas he writes, birthday he writes. And he was speaking in front of an audience of network marketers when he was in San Diego once, and he had this strangest experience. He goes, "Who are these people? They're so alive. They're so engaged. They're so excited. They're leaning forward. They're taking notes." And it was his very first time in front of a network marketing audience. And it had him start asking himself questions. Who are these people? What is this business model? And so the more he learned, the better it got. He said, "Boy, if I didn't end up being an author, I'd end up being a professional networker." Because the quality of the people that are attracted to our business are people that genuinely want to learn and grow. And I certainly found that out for myself. And so, what he did is he gathered together what he called ambassadors. These are people that are influencers and top leaders in network marketing around the world. And he got together with them to figure out what are the top five things that support being successful in our profession. And we did a book study on his book, The Power of Five for Network Marketing by John Maxwell. It's best if you go to his website, johnmaxwell.com, and go to the store to buy the book. We recommend everybody have this book. As you can see, it's a really little book, and Robbins loves books that have big writing and lots of air. Makes it easy to read, but most important, it is loaded with treasures. And he got these people together to create the top five things. If you do these things every day and you are consistent with them, your business will grow and so will you. Okay, the five things, I promise. Okay, the first one is growth. And several weeks ago, we talked about, personal growth. And then the second one is connection. That was our talk last week, is how important, we say over and over, it's a relationship business. Well, you can't have relationship unless you have connection. So we talked about the power of connection. Then comes mindset, then leadership, and then significance. And significance is really contribution. And so every day, John wakes up and looks for what can I do today to add value to people. He said that he is here, that his calling is lifting up others. Does that sound like a familiar time line? Isn't that what we're here to do? Is to grow people? And that's what his whole life is about. And he was blessed to have a father that when he was a young child fed him really good things for his mind. When he was, I think, 12 is when he read Andrew Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And to this day, he continues to reread that book every week. And
Every
then
year.
every year,
Yeah.
not every week. Thank you. He has a little collection on his bookshelf of books he rereads every year. And there's a hint there. And so, you know, learning from the best. And he is definitely one of them. When I have reread this book, and I've gone through it many times, and it's highlighted and post-its everywhere, because it's just loaded with so much value for all of us in a tiny little package. And so, what I want to do is talk a little bit about, the power of network marketing as a model, and then I'm going to just open up the topic of mindset. And we're going to actually go deeper into that with some of our leaders probably next week. But, as he's talking about network marketing, another thing his father did is, because as we all know, a lot of people don't understand our profession. And when people have judgment, from my perspective, judgment comes from lack of information. It comes from ignorance. And so when people understand what we have, it's like, really? When I finally learned about this business model, I went, I sure wish I would have found this a lot sooner than I did, but I'm glad I found it. And so he identified what his father had him do was draw a line down in the middle of the paper and put pros and cons of, when you're trying to make a decision on something, what are the pros and cons? The what's it called, the Franklin close, right?
Ben Franklin.
The Ben Franklin close, when you're trying to decide for yourself, which is really valuable to really take a look from a you know objective as much as possible perspective. And so what I want to do is share some of the top pros about our profession, and have you be thinking about these things, because many of you know that Gregory and I are writing a book on network marketing, and you'll be hearing more about that soon. And I've been actually living in the question of why I love this business model. And I have my own list, and his list adds to my list. And so I'm just going to share his top 10 things. The first one is enhances your income. And the opportunity is available to have life-changing income. And basically why he says that's important is you get options and choices when you have extra income. When you don't, there's more limitations. And that's really one of the main values in having extra income, is it gives you choices. And I love that his brother taught him the value of having many streams of income. He said one of those streams should always be passive. And if you've read the Rich Dad Poor Dad books by Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter, mostly people give it credit to just Kiyosaki, but Sharon Lechter was really a lot of the brains behind that. They were partners. And he says you get freedom when your passive income is greater than your expenses. It doesn't matter how much money you make, how much money you have in your portfolio, none of that. Our freedom comes from knowing that if something happened and our regular income was taken away, our passive income could take care of us. And that's a really important part about our business, is the opportunity. We never make a promise, but the opportunity is clearly there. And many of you know when Gregory wasn't well, we still had income coming in, so I had choices, and I could be a caregiver, and at the same time, the income kept coming in, so we could make choices on what we wanted in his treatment. Number two, it provides options for your life. You know, and this is where he talks about power and freedom, and I love this. His theme song, this is a fun one, is "Don't Fence Me In." Freedom of choice is important. The word freedom is actually much bigger than power. Power is about what you can control. Freedom is about what you can unleash. He said, I'm not power hungry, I'm potential hungry. I love that line. And what this profession provides is an opportunity to literally take the lid off and to fully live our potential. And that's really, as many of you know, my great love and passion of this business model is Gregory and I call it a greenhouse. It's a safe place to grow. And we really want to support you in growing into your potential. And as we said several weeks ago, the amount of work you do on yourself is directly related to your business because you are your business. Thank you, Jim Rohn. So work twice as hard on yourself as you do on your business. And that's where your success is going to come from. Number three is a level playing field. It makes no difference what your educational background, ethnic background, socioeconomic background, any of it makes no difference. Everyone starts at the same place. Everyone has the same resources and tools. And so there's no excuses. I mean, we've had felons in our business, we've had PhDs, we've had corporate multinational executives, we'd have, janitors. Everyone has the same opportunity. And I love, love, love that. So it's really about who do you choose to become in this business. And I love this line, and we've heard it many times before. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, what we have is a low risk, low overhead opportunity with high potential. And, sadly, a lot of people don't take it seriously because they don't have much skin in the game when you're getting, I mean, you could literally start this business with $25, and it's amazing. And let's just say $100 because you got to buy some patches and you have to be active. Although you can get some customers and they'll make you active. So you can start with $25, which is amazing. And you have in front of you a multi-million-dollar opportunity. The difference is what's your choice and how you want to, what you want to do with it. The number four is to learn while you earn. Okay. I love this part because in my background, I always had on my list in every one of my jobs that I was constantly growing and learning. And that was just an important value for me. Well, this business really demands it. And you learn while you earn, and you earn while you learn. And we intentionally grow through practice. And the more we practice, the better we get. And the better we get, guess what? It reflects on your business. How wonderful is that? You have the opportunity to increase your influence. This is an amazing one that I never, ever thought I would have the opportunity to touch as many lives as we've been able to touch with this business model. As many know, I started as a customer. Gregory came on a few months later, thank goodness, to put all the systems and tools in place. And our business really grew organically, and we ended up with a big builder several levels down. And before you knew it, we're at the top of the ranks, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And we're so blessed because so many people's lives have been touched. We're in the business, as David talks about all the time, to give people hope. We give people hope that their experience in their bodies can be even better, that their lifestyle can be more of what they want, and how blessed we are that we have that opportunity to influence the quality of someone's life. Um, but then he talks about, there's people that want to impress people, and those are people that are all about themselves and they just focus on themselves. And then there's people that, want to influence. And so, people who seek to impress want fans, people who seek to influence want friends. Just a few different letters between those words, but boy, what a difference they make. And network marketing really helps us make a positive difference in people's lives more than we can ever imagine. There's no way to quantify the difference we make in people's lives. And many times it may not be about income, it may not be about the success in their business, but more importantly, it's about who they become. And it is just one of my greatest joys to witness people blossoming in front of me over time. And that's something I love. And he says you become a better person in network marketing. we're becoming more of who we are, more of our potential in ways like attitudes and goals and hard work, responsibility, generosity. And he has a whole long list. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but it's just, we continue to become better and better and better. And, how wonderful is that we have a business model that helps us become better. And number 7 is we get to add value to people around us. Better people make people better. I love that line. Better people make people better. Because when, you're living really good values and you're learning and living from them, our value increases. And when we become better, guess what? Everything becomes better around us. How beautiful is that? And to live in the question, when really looking at why are we doing this, does my dream benefit others or is it just for me? And, wanting to do something that really, really helps others, but we've got to take care of ourselves first. So we really have to do something significant for ourselves. It's like putting our oxygen mask on first. We've got to do the self-care first. We can't possibly be of great service to others unless we're really healthy on ourselves. And I love this little poem from Ella Wheeler Wilcox. It says, which are you? There are two kinds of people on earth today. Just two kinds of people, no more, I say. Not the good and the bad, for it's well understood that the good are half bad and the bad are half good. No, the two kinds of people on earth, I mean, are the people who lift and the people who lean. And it's really fascinating to take a look at that as you're assessing. There's only two kinds of people. And our business is so much about lifting others. So beautiful. And number 8 is developing lifelong relationships. This is one of, our favorites, of course. Many of you, um, lots of you we've known from other times and other businesses. And I shared this yesterday to the directors is, we met Judy Daniel in another business and we just kind of said, we love each other. If you ever find anything, call me first, is what she said. So I did. And the rest is history. And the relationships are really the greatest gift. And Gregory talks often about developing long term, mutually rewarding relationships. It's a win win win, is what we have here. And then number 9 is growing through incredible experiences. Sometimes they're challenging experiences, sometimes they're really celebratory, amazing experience, and there's always the opportunity to learn and grow from no matter what happens. So, what did you love and what did you learn about what just happened? Constantly living in questions that keep you learning and growing and learning and growing. And then finally, it allows you to be part of a great team. Yay, us! I think we have the most amazing team. We just are so, so grateful for each and every one of you and what you bring to our community, and most importantly, what you bring to other people. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful business model that a lot of people really don't understand. There's another book that we've talked about before called The Flip Flop CEO, and she identifies another 10 things. A lot of them are similar, some are different, but there's so much value in this business model that a lot of people literally just don't understand. And so I want to just step into the topic of mindset. And in this topic, when you think about starting in this business, and I think most of us have had this experience where we've started, or you see two people start at the same time. They have the exact same resources and exact same tools. One of them takes off and flies, and the other one doesn't. What's the difference? So this is where mindset comes in place. And I want to invite Gregory to share a brief story because he had a profound experience on mindset that I think could, in this business, it could make a difference for a lot of people. So over to you, my dear.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, well, this is my network marketing startup lesson. And some of you know my story. I'll tell it briefly, but back in 1988, I moved my young family from California to Montana. I sold my manufacturing business. Um, didn't sell it for enough to retire on, but enough to coast for a while and figure out what I wanted to do with life. And but sadly, shortly after we moved, the payments for the sale of the business stopped coming, and I went from retirement to requirement, so to say. And network marketing just came along. Accident, God's grace, divine intercession, however you want to picture it. To me, it was a godsend. But so when I was started in network marketing, the old adage for me was failure was not an option. So my mindset was I'm going to stick to it till I figure it out. And I stuck to it. And I won't say I failed miserably my first year, but I had very limited success. But failure wasn't an option because, as on the motivational ladder, malnutrition's way up there, especially when it's your kids. So I had no other way to go. I didn't have the money to start another manufacturing business. I'd moved to a small town in southwestern Montana, and there wasn't a big employment pool. So, God just led me to network marketing. But by my second year, I figured it out. By my third year, I was making more a month than I used to make a year. But I got to tell you, it was work. It was ate to faint. I'd get up in the morning, I worked till I couldn't work anymore at night. I managed my list. I had pages and pages of leads, and I'd call everybody. I mean, someone told me that back in those days, if you might remember back in 1988, you got charged by the minute on your phone when you made a long distance call. And they said you can forecast the size of your future check by your current phone bill. And I tested that because I had big phone bills. Now we don't have that anymore because you can dial anywhere in the world for free nowadays. But I just want to say that I made a decision, and I made a commitment. And we talked about commitment a little bit last week, but I remember a good friend of mine, George Zelicki, once told me, says, commitment is defined by being willing to do what you said you were going to do long after the feeling you had when you made the decision is gone. That's commitment. And that's been my secret to success for the last 37 years.
Failure was not an option.
Failure was not an option.
And thank you, Gregory. And that's just a powerful, powerful story of how important our mindset is. And I want to address, Kira brought up a question in the chat. Now I need to find it. She asked something about, do past experiences affect mindset? Absolutely. Absolutely. They can affect it in both ways. And it's our choice to develop this muscle that we do not allow them to take us down to, we have an option every day to either expand or contract. I had a manager years ago, and she said to me, every day I wake up and I have some fear. I'm scared. I'm doing something I've never done before. And in that moment, we have the opportunity to expand into doing something we've never done, or we can contract. It's a choice, and it has to do with what's going on up here. So if you've had something happen in the past, it's really important for us to grow, to become more of who we are. We have to feel safe. And where does safety come from? And we were listening to a program yesterday on releasing trauma, because a lot of people have dealt with things in their past that have harmed them or that are traumatic. And sadly, many people live their lives limited because of that. So doing the healing work, and there's plenty of resources out there. This is not our job. But what's it going to take for you to feel safe in the world? And safe physically, spiritually, socially, emotionally, financially, sexually. Most people were not raised with safety. And that's our work, is to continue to work on ourselves to get to the place where we feel safe to grow to that next level. If we go too far too fast, we pull back in again. So we want to continue to do little steps a bit outside our comfort zone, but not too much. Because if it's too much, we'll curl back in. And so I want to just finish up today with talking about commitment because Gregory brought it up. And the two books that John Maxwell's father gave him when he was young to help his mindset and reach his potential. One was The Magic of Thinking Big. These are two oldies but goodies, and if you've not ever read these, I highly recommend them. I'm going to go have to dig them up from my library and revisit, and How to Win Friends and Influence People.
By Dale Carnegie.
Huh?
Dale Carnegie?
By Dale Carnegie, yes. And the two quotes, he has two quotes, one from each of the books. This is from The Magic of Thinking Big. Where success is concerned, people are not measured in inches or pounds, or even college degrees or family background. They're measured by the size of their thinking. So we want to put a little stretcher on our thinking to continue to grow and grow and grow. And then from Dale Carnegie, the biggest lesson I ever learned is the stupendous importance of what we think. If I knew what you think, I would know what you are, for your thoughts make you what you are. So really watching your thoughts and paying attention. And then I'm going to finish up with a quote from William Murray, which is a powerful quote that we used to hear all the time on commitment. But this is what happens, and this is what happened to Gregory. He committed, and then the universe lined up to support him with his commitment. Until I am committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. But the moment I definitely commit myself, then God moves in also, and a whole stream of events begin to erupt. All manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, persons, and material assistance that I could have ever dreamed of would come my way, begin to flow toward me the moment I make commitment. It's like the universe says yes. When we're lined up, all these things happen to us. So next week, we're going to have some of our leaders share on the next chapter, which is this chapter, the chapter on mindset. I just wanted to do a little introduction. And so there we have our little training for today from John Maxwell's The Power of Five. And this is a book that I recommend anyone who's serious about building a business reads again and again and again, and commits to doing the 5 things every day. If you do, I can promise you, you're going to see growth in yourself and growth in your business. Okay, so comments, questions from anybody? You can raise your hand about this topic. We are at the bottom of the hour. We can talk about anything business, but if there's anything specific about what we covered today, I'm happy. Okay, we've got Jen. You want to unmute your line, hon?
I do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I believe that one of the greatest gifts that we can give humanity is our testimony. And I have been in network marketing 5 years, and it has been a struggle, but I had a fantastic breakthrough the end of September. It was September 30th. I wrote it in my journal. And one of the things that I've been meditating on is the word shalom. And it's a Hebrew word, and the deep meaning of shalom is the authority that destroys chaos. And I know that my God is not the author of chaos and confusion. He's the author of shalom. And so I've been listening to all of these wonderful growth trainings for quite some time. And on September 30th, I came to the end of something, and I was energetically, like I lost a person. I was delivered from a spirit of accusation. And if you really think about that accusation that's in your head, that self-talk, I don't even know how long I've had it, but it was like something left me. And when you relate it to network marketing, it was an energetic release from result. And you guys have taught me about detaching from result. And I just can't even explain or describe it thoroughly enough. But what it went and what came in was that shalom and that authority that destroys chaos. Because I had a lot of mental chaos going on in my head. And
Hmm.
I believe that that's going to really enhance the way that I operate in this business. So anyway, I hope that helps. I just so adore all of you and really am very grateful for all of the trainings and the edification. So thank you so much.
Oh, Jen, that was so beautiful. And you will remember that date, September
I
30th. And
Oh,
you
I
know
forgot to tell you.
what?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
That's
off. So
okay.
September 30th, that was an energetic release. Well, October 1st, I woke up with a clarity and it just the seven levels of why just flowed out of me. And I actually added an eighth. You know, we have that document, the seven levels of why. Well, that went and the clarity came in and it was beautiful. And I did share it with my upline.
Oh, Jen, I love it. And, Jen is an embodiment of how quickly something can change. Something that may have been going on for a very, very long time. There could be this awakening. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it's just the little things over time. Then you go, oh, I've come a long way. But sometimes you can get those big ahas and those big shifts that literally change everything. It's like a whole new paradigm that happens that you're coming from. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was beautiful. Darlene, you want to unmute your line? She's working on it. We can see it.
Okay,
There
is that it?
you
Okay.
got it. You got it.
Yes, okay. I came in a few minutes late, but I am learning so much about myself, and this was so amazing because I had an issue to come up yesterday, and it was with a family member, and it's been going on for years and talking about trauma. And when you said well ago, the aha moment of lifting or leaning, I mean, it just struck a chord with me to share this with my friend. But I wanted to also share, find out number one, who wrote that book, Releasing Trauma, and number two, back several years ago, and I wish I'd have stuck with it, but it reconnected with me last August, was Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a cognitive neuroscientist. You can find her on YouTube. And she has a four-part series called Detoxing Your Brain. And I'm starting notebooks and one on your calls, Janet's call, You Think Pro, everything, because it's keeping me accountable. And number two, I'm remembering it's about connecting with people, not about, just the making money, because people can see that and you want to love on them. But I told my kids the other day, because I live alone and they live in this town, but I told them, I said, if anything ever happens to me, all you got to do is go look at my notebooks and you'll find out what my life's about. Because it seems like I've got 10 notebooks going, but it's holding me accountable and releasing the trauma, learning to connect with people. And when you mentioned John Maxwell, I love him just to pieces. I've followed him for years. And one of my favorite quotes of his is, if you think you're a leader and nobody's following you, you're just out taking a walk.
That's great. Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you, Darlene. And this man we listened to yesterday, I think it was Dr. Peter Levine, and the book is called The Autobiography of Trauma. And he teaches somatic exercises, how to use your body to release the trauma. And he does it in a very gentle, beautiful way. It's been very powerful because the talk therapy does not typically help people do the release work of things that are held in their body. And I'm not a trauma expert, but he is. And you might want to check that out. And there's so many resources these days for people that you'll go down quite a rabbit hole on that one. And we have a teammate, Lynn Scott Hagerman, who's a real master as far as releasing trauma. And she helps a lot of people with that. So we can connect you if you want. Okay. And
Yes, I'd like to know that name of that again, because soon as this is over with, I'm going to look it up.
yeah, it's Lynn, Lynnne Scott Hageman, and she has her own podcast and YouTube channels, and she talks about how she is healed from severe harm that she has experienced, and she's very high functioning and helps other people. And she's one of our teammates that's blossomed into a beautiful leader. Okay.
And
So
I'm sorry,
yeah.
one more thing. You said the name of the message you listened to was called what?
Well, the book was called The Autobiography of Trauma by
Okay, okay,
and I think his name is Peter Levine. I know it's Levine. I'm Peter
okay.
J. Levine, I think is his name, but you'll find it. The Autobiography of
Well,
Trauma.
I love it. And I really appreciate all of y'all
Sure.
because I'm learning so much.
Well, we're so glad to have you and blossoming more and more into your potential, Darlene. Thank you. Lavelle, you're next.
Great job as always, Robin. But I want to share something. One thing that you said is that John Maxwell, he did something every day. And I think that's where sometimes we miss the boat. Every day means every day because we're all creatures of habit. So I want to encourage everyone. And I'm going to give you a little saying. I got a million of them. If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. For things to change, you have to change. And you want to make that change by doing something every day, guys, just every day. And you'll see the compound effect in your business and in your life. Thanks so much, Robin.
Beautiful.
Only
Thank you,
takes a little
Lavelle.
bit to get
Always great
started.
words of wisdom. Okay. Oh, we got a Lavelle Ravel. I love it.
Thank you so
Ravel.
much for your wisdom and training, Robin. Really appreciate it. And this is a good segue from what Lavelle just said. The reason I was a minute late is I was sharing with a couple of individuals, knowing that I have 3 back-to-back meetings with LifeWave today. And I just wanted to mention, I have a question for one of Gregory's quotes. I like the book and I haven't read it in a while, The Go-Getter by Peter Kine. And I think you mentioned, Robin, in the past that could be called the go-giver, servant leadership that you and Gregory exemplify. And the book, thank you for mentioning Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think I could really use reading it again.
I think we all could.
After 7 times, an 8th time would be useful. And the quote I was wondering that Gregory has said in the past is the universe conspires to favor thee, and I just couldn't remember what it was. Do you remember that, Gregory?
Do you remember
it has
that?
to do with consistency or
People that make a decision.
Gregory, you're muted.
Yeah, the people that make a decision. He's
Make a
saying
decision. That's it. Thanks so
that's
much.
it. Yep, you got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Latrice.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. What an amazing call. Thank you. Really, really quick. When I was listening to Mr. Lavelle, who has just a wealth of knowledge, and he was talking about, if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. And I'd like to end that with, in order to get something you've never had before, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. So that's all. Not to correct. I just wanted to add that on. That's my little 2 cents.
Well,
thank you, Miss Robin.
That's a powerful add-on because it takes us where we want to go, which means we want to do things we've never done. But again, you want to make sure they're not too far out there because you don't want to go back, but you want to make incremental steps in that world of feeling safe and stretching. We're always wanting to grow and stretch. And that's, John Maxwell, he said, if he wasn't, his life took a different path, but he loves our business and he is passionate about our business because of it attracts people that want to learn and grow and know that we're responsible for our life. Okay, Dr. Tom, you're next.
I was hoping that Dr. Latrice would grace all of us with her wisdom from yesterday and her definition of why.
Oh, yes, that's right. We wanted that, Dr. Latrice.
Okay, well, the WHY stands for, is an acronym for what's hurting you. So when they talk about having a why that makes you cry, when we think in terms of, what's really hurting us. We were listening to, Mr. Gregory yesterday, and he just touched our hearts so much when he talked about his why for being in this industry, for making sure that this industry worked for him. And it was so strong that he would do whatever he had to do to make that happen for him and his family. And that's what we have to find. That's what we have to dig for. And that's why, Miss Robin, when you mentioned that seven levels of why, keep asking why. Keep asking why. Einstein said, question everything. So your first answer is going to be superficial. Maybe your next two answers are going to be logical. And you're going to have to just keep digging and digging and digging till you come up with an amazing why for yourself. So I hope that's what you wanted, Dr. Tom.
That was beautiful, Dr. Latrice. Thank you for remembering Dr. Tom about that, because really, when we have that why that is so strong, nothing will get in the way. We will do whatever it takes. And the why that makes you cry, and living in that question, to me, the most powerful resource we have in our own personal development is the power of the questions that we live in. When I was with Enlightened Leadership, we would stand up in front of the room, and we were trained that it is not our job to tell people anything. It's our job to come from a place that everyone knows the answer to your own questions. And our job was to help bring forth that knowing, many times by asking the questions. Because the questions start the process. And, Einstein started living in the questions on the theory of relativity when he was 4 years old. Took him a while, but he just kept germinating and working on it until it came forth. And it is the common denominator of the most successful people in every dimension of life. It's the quality of the questions that they live in. And so if you catch yourself saying, oh, why did I do that? You're going to end up in a backward focus with judgment. But what's it going to take for me to take this next step? What's next for me in my evolution? What's most important for me to focus on right now to get the kind of results I want? So we want questions that move us forward. Okay, any other comments or questions about today? Or, we're open at this time to talk about any business questions. Connie, I don't think has joined us. If you have, raise your hand. I don't see you. But what Connie brought up yesterday on our director's call was in the back office of customers, they have some additional new tools on pre-populated carts. And I don't know the details because I haven't looked. So, huh?
We'll cover that on Monday night.
We'll cover that on Monday night. So we'll make sure everyone has that information, okay? So any other questions or comments about anything business related? Let's see. Carla's clapping. Thank you. Well, we don't have to stay the full hour if there's nothing else that anyone wants. We can call this call complete. And I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up, as life is about showing up. And, God bless each of you for doing that. You're here and you're learning and you're growing, and it will directly relate to the success in your business. So thank you, everybody. You can unmute if you want to say goodbye.
Thank you,
Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Robin.
Gregory.
Bye.
Thank you. Very, very
Robin.
helpful.
Highly
Lots of good information.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Excellent
Zoom,
Have a great
Thank you,
week.
Robin.
Enjoy a thrilling Thursday, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good X39 day.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful wave day.
Bye,
Love you
everybody.
guys.
Hi, everybody.
Love you, everyone.
you. Thank
Those
you.
in front of the room make the
Thursday.
most money. Get in
Okay.
front of the room.
Bye, everyone.